The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman.
Albany, New York, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you 41-year-old Houston Ketter III out of Albany, New York. Now, Houston Ketter, as you can see, is a black man. He's relatively attractive, not my type, but hey, he probably considered attractive to a lot of black women. He looks to be over 6 feet to me. I couldn't really prove that, but I digress. So, because he's a 41-year-old black male in America, this makes him the most desired man on the planet. And the most desired man on the planet will never settle. So instead of settling, he got what he deserved, which is a 23-year-old young lady out of Albany, New York, and they began a relationship. The 23-year-old lady's name is Sky Dixon, and isn't she beautiful? So Sky is, like I stated, 18 years younger than this man. And as a black man in America, he deserved that because he's a black man. He's the most desirable on the planet. So he starts to date Sky Dixon around, some say September, some say October. I say October because of a status she made on her page. Let me share that with you. So on October the 17th of 2022, I'm sure friends and family were shocked to see this pop up on her page. I fuck up everything. 3 days ago, I left a man who loves me for another man who treats me like a hoe. Why can't I press rewind and go back to how it used to be? I wish this was all a dream. I'm guessing this is the time that Houston Ketter III entered the chat. And from everything that's stated on this case, this is exactly when he entered the chat. And ladies, if you've been listening to any aspect of the internet, especially YouTube, IG, TikTok, you'll know that she should have chose better, right? That's always the answer. Never mind that she's a 23-year-old girl finding her life in love and figuring things out. You don't get to do that as a black woman. As a black woman, you better choose right and you better know, because if anything happens to you, that is your fault. Never mind that this is a 41-year-old man and she could literally be his daughter. Literally. Never mind. Never mind that at a certain age, you should be past trying to date a child, because to me, this is a child. But we move. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I always try to personalize the victim and not make them just a victim. I want you to understand a little about her and a little about her life experience. My goal is never to cause any more harm to the family or any harm or sadness to the friends, but I just want us to know who she was, because I feel like personalizing her lets you understand that she's you, she's me, she's all of us. So Alexandra Lemon-Dixon was born on April the 23rd of 2000 in Las Vegas, Nevada, where she was adopted by Cheryl Lemons, a psychiatrist and neurologist working at various hospitals in Las Vegas. At the age of 3, she moved with her older sister and her mother to Los Angeles, California. Sky attended Licey International de Los Angeles Elementary School, where she was known for her energetic personality and her love of adventure. At 10 years old, Sky and her family moved to Onset, Massachusetts, where they lived with her beloved grandmother, Dorothy Fraunhofer. On August the 6th of 2011, Sky lost her mother to breast cancer and moved to New York to join her aunt, uncle, and cousins. Sky attended school in New York City and finished high school at the Charleston School in Burnt Hills, New York. Charleston School is known for incorporating equine therapy, which is horse therapy, as part of their holistic learning program. Giving her long life attachment to animals, Sky excelled at the learning program. She developed a particular love of horses and worked at a rescue facility for animals that had been abused. Sky often cared for the most challenging animals with love and patience. And here's a picture of Sky doing what she loved, taking care of animals, being their therapy, being a healing resource for them. So, in the information that I found and the information that I just read, it seems like she was adopted at birth by one of the providers at the hospital. I don't know if it's the hospital where she was born at. They don't mention much about her mother, her birth mother or father. So I want to know if, like, what circumstances caused her to be adopted. Was she in a bad situation and they took her away? Was she left on, somewhere, and was she abandoned, or was she born to drug users? That information is kind of left out, and I tried to look online and find some information about it, but I couldn't. However, what I did find was that her adoptive family, not many associated with her, they had kind of turned their backs on her. Now, this is alleged. This is information that I found online from someone who said they were her best friend. And the reason why they had turned their back on her was because alleged drug use. They say she had got mixed up in some drug use. She had started surrounding herself with people who, were not good people. So she went through some troubles. A lot of times, you never know why somebody was adopted, but sometimes, even if you're adopted young, those issues can come back to bother you in your subconscious that you're not aware of. So, anyway, she got into a little trouble with drugs, had a troubled lifestyle, but she was only 23 years old. I mean, how many people in their 20s go through, something like that, and then when they get older, they turn it completely around? But we move. So I want y'all to understand how quickly abuse started in this relationship. She was with him for a total of 4 months. They started dating around September, October. Documents show that Ketter physically abused Sky Lemon-Dixon on more than one occasion during their 4-month relationship that started in 2022. The defendant, Ketter, poured lighter fluid on her head, drenching her face, then proceeded to throw a lit blunt on her. However, the blunt went out before it hit her. The defendant then grabbed 2 lighters and clicked them together in another attempt to set her on fire. This is what this man did 1 month into the relationship. Now, why, you ask? Why would he try to set her on fire, destroy her face? Could it be because he knows that she's 23 years old and she can do better than him? Like, why would he try to destroy her face? But let's go further. So when we go further, so this incident happened around September. In October, now mind you, this is only less than a month into the relationship. So in October, a man accused of setting a woman on fire was sentenced Tuesday to 50 years to life in prison. So this is Houston Ketter III. He met her in September, started dating her. In October, another incident happened. Houston Ketter III, 41, was found guilty after a trial in October. The incident happened in the area of Bradford and Robert Streets in Albany, New York. The victim, Kyrie Rose, now this is a different person, told the court about the experience. What a feeling to be instantaneously on fire and screaming for anyone to solve it, she said. She thanked the quick response of a police officer for saving her life. She said she woke up in the burn unit 2 months after the attack. She has third-degree burns over 30% of her body and has a permanent trach installed in her throat. She said her son's first birthday was spent crawling around in her hospital room. I was 7 months without being able to speak, carrying around a marker board to communicate while teaching my son how to walk. Never once did I feel like a failure as I played recordings while feeding him, she said. She said she could go on about the trauma that Ketter caused her, but that will be given a narcissist satisfaction. The woman said she suffered second and third degree burns to 26% of her body, but she survived. She testified against Ketter, who, according to prosecutors, was angry at the woman because she owed him hundreds of dollars for drugs. The woman testified that she had given Ketter her temporary food stamp benefit card in exchange for drugs. Prosecutors said Ketter, who was not caught immediately after the first attack, victimized the second woman, his girlfriend, at the time, on January 30th, 2023. They alleged Ketter heated a pot on the stove and pressed it against various parts of her body, causing second and third degree burns. He then repeated the attack again weeks later. The ex-girlfriend, now 23, testified before a grand jury that Ketter threatened to use the same bottle of charcoal lighter fluid he had used on the first victim. She said Ketter also struck her with a belt and burned her using a cigarette. So at this time, Sky was terrified of this man after all the stuff that he had taken her through. And think about it, you would be terrified too. So in order for her to testify against him, in order to have him indicted, they filed a protective order, which remained in effect until October the 2nd. The protective order prevented Houston Ketter from having any evidence whatsoever that Sky Lemon-Dixon had cooperated with the prosecution. So basically, he didn't even know that she had told of the incidents that happened to her. He only knew about the woman that he set on fire. But basically, they advised her to cooperate and testify in order for him to be indicted, and did not let him know that she was one of the people who testified against him. So I'm guessing only the jury got to hear that part. On October the 14th, after the protective order ended, Ketter, Houston Ketter III, made a phone call from the jail. When Sky Lemon-Dixon picked up the line and spoke with him, he said, "Get low and be safe." He commented, that comment can only be interpreted as a warning, given the backdrop of their domestic violence history. Though the defendant attempted to speak in code during his jail calls generally, it is apparent that he was telling Sky Lemon-Dixon to stay under the radar. This is simply an example of the defendant showing control over Sky Lemon-Dixon from jail. That same day, Sky Lemon-Dixon suddenly became unreachable to law enforcement. Prosecutors argued that Ketter was responsible for his ex-girlfriend's disappearance. So the judge called a special hearing conducted outside of the presence of the jury. They played recordings in which Ketter spoke to a man about keeping track of a person, keeping track of Sky Lemon-Dixon. They displayed street surveillance videos of a man escorting the ex-victim into a car October the 14th. The same night, the phone call was made to Sky Lemon-Dixon telling her to stay low and basically disappear. So basically, he sent one of his cronies or flunkies to kidnap her because she disappeared the same night, October the 14th. But before that, she had told the attorney, the prosecutors, that she was scared for her life, even though he was locked up. So she knew what type of guy he was, basically. The judge decided that Houston Ketter III was responsible for the disappearance of the ex-girlfriend, and she allowed the prosecutors to read the ex-girlfriend's grand jury testimony into evidence for the trial. Okay? And rightfully so, because of those testimonies, Houston Ketter III was sentenced on November the 13th of 2023 to 50 years to life in prison with 5 years of post-release supervision. So even though he did all that, had her kidnapped so that she couldn't testify at the trial, they were onto him and they knew what he did. And because of that, they went on and gave him really less than he deserved, because I think he should have been given life. But they gave him 50 years. We know 50 years is not really 50 years. So basically, after the trial, one of the prosecutors stated, "There's nothing quite like getting justice for a person who is not even able to appear on their own behalf and fight for themselves because of the person that's sitting in the courtroom. These were some of the strongest women I think we've ever encountered, and we were with them right from the start. And we saw what they went through, and we saw the effect that it had on them. And the fact that we were still able to bring them justice despite the actions of the defendant, I think is really telling. For of all the hard work, not only our office will work, but the Albany Police Department worked as well to bring justice to these women." So already after the trial, they're celebrating bringing justice, but nobody still knows where Sky Lemon-Dixon is. So how is that justice when you have video of her being basically kidnapped on October the 14th, the same day that the protection order expired, and then you also have him threatening her and you can't find her? I mean, yeah, 50 years, at least he got some time, but I don't really feel like that was justice. I really feel like she should have been put into some type of witness protection program. So everybody's thinking, at least the judicial system is thinking they brought justice to the situation. And I wish I could tell you that this is how the story ends. They find her, justice is served. But remember, she's still missing. And this is every 8 hours. And by the way, it's actually every 5 hours that a black woman or child is being unalived by usually someone that they know, and it's usually a black male.
We begin with breaking news at 5. The woman who was shot in the head in Albany on Christmas Day has died from her injuries.
Albany police identifying the victim as 23-year-old Sky Lemon-Dixon.
You heard it right. The 41-year-old most desirable man shot and killed a 23-year-old girl.
She was shot in the 700 block of State Street, taken to Albany Med. She had been in critical condition until she passed. Police are still looking for suspects.
That shooting was part of a
write-in. First, a man has been charged with murder in connection to a deadly Christmas Day shooting in Albany. And the Albany County District Attorney is telling us that Michael Varlak of Albany has pleaded not guilty to charges of second-degree murder and criminal possession of a weapon. Varlak is accused of shooting Sky Lemon-Dixon in her home on State Street on Christmas morning with an illegal gun. She died days later.
So yes, you guys, another fine specimen and pick up the leader, top tier black guy. So this making the pot to choose from really smaller, huh? But as a black girl, you don't get to make mistakes, even at 23. So when you listen to the videos them discussing this, they will say she should have learned better. She should have picked better. And it's really scary because what would they say if that was their daughter? I'm thinking they would say the same thing. So Michael Vorlek, age 36, was arraigned on murder and related charges in Albany County on Wednesday, January 7th, in the death of Sky Lemon-Dixon.
Documents that we've obtained say Dixon had expressed fear for her safety as her abusive ex-boyfriend was on trial. Dixon was supposed to testify but did not appear in court. Varlak is taken to jail and is due back in court next month. There is no explicit connection between the two cases that the Albany County District Attorney's Office has pointed out.
So there you have it. That's the story of Sky Lemon-Dixon, like so many stories I've told on this channel. Remember, ladies, every 5 hours or less, a black woman or child is being murdered, abused, or something detrimental is being done to them by a black man, a black boy, or someone else. But usually it's a black man. It's usually somebody that they know, but there are cases that there are people that they don't know. But it's really sad that this is happening to our little girls out here. So you mean to tell me the most desirable men in the world have to stoop to these levels? But I thought they could have anybody. And I'm only saying this because when you get on these channels, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, you hear all these guys talking about how black men deserve better and they gonna go overseas and get a passport and they don't have to date you if you over a certain amount, a certain weight, especially Kendra G show. If you get in them comments, if she over a certain amount of weight, if she got this amount of kids, if she this age, they will have you feeling like you are worth nothing. That's why I unplug from that stuff. I have to really stop watching Kendra G, and I love her. I think she's adorable, but it's just the men in the comments. Every woman, it doesn't matter who she is, especially if she's a black woman, they're going to go in. And so really unplug from that stuff. Even if you continue to watch her show, just watch it, but don't read the comments, because the comments are really going to have you, if you're not strong, down and depressed, like you're not good enough. But the main thing I say about that is there are just as many men on dating sites on Kindred looking for a partner as women. And not only that, the things that they are doing to their partners every 5 hours, just remember that man's rejection is God's protection. So I understand a lot of black single women are out here and they want to be with somebody, but whoever has rejected you, that's for your protection. Either something better is coming along or something detrimental was going to happen to you. So just trust God and trust the process. And I know it's hard, but try to unplug from all that red pill stuff and TikTok and all that stuff. Even a lot of the people on YouTube that talk about this gender war stuff, especially black women against black men, I just really hit not interested. Even though my channel does talk about us dying every 5 hours, I'm focused on us dying every 5 hours. It don't really matter who is killing us. I'm focused on us dying every 5 hours. But it's just funny to me that the men that they brag about out there are doing these things. Because it's not just this guy. I don't know what this guy did for a living, but even if you look at my other videos, it's not necessarily men with records who are doing these things. It is financially stable men, men who never got records, men who are considered upstanding citizens. But the thing about it is, they say women won't take accountability, but also black men never take accountability. Like, if a woman is a single mother, oh, well, that's her fault. She should have chose better. If she ends up divorced and ends up with the kids, that's her fault. She should have chose better. If a black man goes to prison, the system is attacking the black man. It's never their fault. Nothing is never their fault. And it's just sickening, actually. But like I said, make sure you're protecting yourself. Make sure you got your head on swivel. I really feel like in this case, the system let her down. They should have put her in some type of protection program, especially how scared she is. Something else has to be done to protect these women. And it's really sad because this was a little girl. What does a 41-year-old want with a 23-year-old? Like, you've already lived almost half of your life. Why are you destroying her life? But anyway, may Sky Lemon-Dixon rest in peace. She can finally take her rest after all the trouble that she went through on earth. It's sad that her life ended at 23 years, but she can finally take her rest. You guys stay safe and protect yourself at all costs. You come first. You are very important. Whoever is in your life doesn't make you no more or no less than a person. You are valuable. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Rest in peace.